Hello, good morning. It's Sunday, the 19th of November, and I'm reading Return to Elysium. It's a far memory book by Joan Grant. And I'm already in the second part of this book, chapter 7. I shall upload it on my YouTube and BitChute, and you can listen to it in this sequence. This is chapter 7. She is now in Rome. This is 2nd century BC. She's about 17. And the last chapter was entitled The Slaves, and she has freed all her slaves. The Senator, chapter 7. That night everything seemed different, even me. I enjoyed the food which Portia brought, and I joked with the boys who carried my litter. We decided which of the fat patricians we saw would lose when they waged against the future champion of the circus. Iris was waiting for me at the landing steps. "You are late," she said. "Salonius wanted to see you, but the patient is already with him, up at the house." "Who is it?" I asked indifferently. "It can't be anyone important, or I should have been told sooner." "Nigellus, one of the few senators who have real authority." I sighed. "Another greedy old man who wants reassurance that he will find proper respect in heaven, and get there. Or does he require an omen to clear his conscience before he orders the death of some unfortunate country which Rome envies?" "I don't think Nigellus is one of those. I saw him. He's quite young and too thin to be greedy. He looks more like an athlete, a Greek, of course, not one of the gladiators." It always warmed my heart to hear Iris' contempt of Romans. It pleases me to maintain the fiction that I am not bound by the ordinary standards of courtesy. Nigellus is probably only too used to having people hurry to please him. He may find the cultivation of a little patience most salutary. In spite of Iris, I managed to take longer over my preparations than usual. I decided that the red poppies were unsuitable, so I changed them for a few sprays of rosemary, which she had placed ready in a jar in case I wanted them for a wreath. I let her dress me in white, and then changed it for a blue robe embroidered with small silver stars. Then, obeying a sudden impulse, I told her that she could go home when the patient arrived. "I can't," she said. "You know Salonius never lets you be here alone." "I shan't be alone. I shall have Nigellus. But you need me to write down anything you want to remember." "I shan't forget anything I want to remember, and I'm tired of making notes to please Salonius." "I won't go," she said. "I dare not." "Then you can tell the senator that the priestess is not in the mood to listen to his troubles. You can also tell Salonius that I'm too tired to work tonight. You needn't add too bored, unless you feel inclined to join in a quarrel." "I can't do that. Lucina, don't ask me to do such a terrible thing." "Well, the choice is yours. Leave me alone here or take the alternative. Everyone chooses the better of any two alternatives. I've proved that to the satisfaction even of philosophers." "Will it be enough if I wait in the oak grove?" she said desperately. She looked so distressed that I was sorry to have teased her. "Wait in the grove and listen to Lucius. He will make much better hearing than a poppy-drunk Roman." She blushed. "You love Lucius, don't you? Never try to run away from love, unless you want to be so lonely that you haven't the spirit to run even from death." "I daren't love him," she said. "He is a slave. I can't afford to love a slave." I took her by the shoulders and shook her gently. "Iris, stop trying to hide from your heart. You love Lucius. Be thankful that you still have the strength to love someone more than yourself. He won't be a slave tomorrow. Neither will you. I'm going to buy your freedom." She looked at me bewildered. "Salonius would never sell us. We are too useful." "Salonius will also have to choose between two alternatives. He can either keep you and Lucius, or me." She fell on her knees and kissed the hem of my dress. I tried to draw her to her feet, but her hands were limp, so I knelt beside her. "Don't cry, Iris. You mustn't cry." The gaze curtain held its usual placid folds. The lamp burned with a clear flame. I had waited here for more than 700 people. Why did I feel this curious excitement, almost fear? The cup, the gold cup, calm with poppy sleep, waited beside the couch. The branches of rosemary cast their precise pattern on the walls. I heard someone walking up the path from the river, someone who was unhurried, secure for whom I waited. A tall man stood between the bronze doors. The lines of his body were clean and strong, as though experience had scoured away all unessential flesh. I knew he would have been carefully instructed in the temple procedure. He would drink from the cup and then lie on the couch beside the lamp. I would watch his eyelids grow heavy before he began to speak. He might take a scroll on which he had written the questions he wished to ask the oracle from a fold of his toga. He would try to inscribe them deeper in his mind before he let the drowsy peace assail him. I'd seen this happen so often. Why did I expect Nigellos to be different? I watched him glance quickly round the room. He took the gold cup and poured the pale draught on the floor, but in contempt, not as a libation. The curtain, 10 years of smoke, was no longer the protection of aloof omnipotence. I'm not concerned with omens, he said, nor do I wish to consult oracles. But I'm aware that no one can be wise in every field. I have a problem which has not been resolved by the means I have been able to employ. As it does not directly concern myself, I have to seek advice even by methods I have publicly rebuked. So, although you're not sympathetic to the soothsayers you have come to my temple, I'm honored by such discernment. If your advice is to be sound, I must purchase it with honesty. I did not expect to consult you. I went to Thelonious, whose skill I respect. But you do not respect mine? I hope that I can maintain an unbiased opinion of faculties beyond my understanding. Thelonious tells me that you are possessed of greater wisdom than himself. Until I have reason to doubt it, I am prepared to accept his judgment. Certainly I had not been wrong in thinking this man would be different. I had become familiar with abject belief, and on occasion I had fought with open hostility. Never had I met this calm evaluation. That you have a small opinion of soothsayers need be no barrier between us. Their methods are distasteful to me, I said. You consider yourself to be an inspired intermediary between your patients and the gods? Yes, when their gods are no more than a projection of unfulfilled desires or an embodiment of fear. I knew this statement was dangerous. If he claimed that I had admitted disbelief in the gods, I should be in danger. The temple might be destroyed even if I managed to escape from Rome. I owe homage to your integrity, he said, and I shall pay it in the coin of discretion. It is agreed between us that we may speak with tongues inspired by honesty and unguarded by expediency. It is agreed. In this contract I do not include your scribe. I presume you have a scribe, for Thelonious has the type of mind which would require an exact record of all that pertains to his province. So I had not been lacking in discernment when I sent Iris away. It is my usual practice to have a scribe in attendance. Such records are of value in the treatment of future patients. For some reason of which I am not fully aware, I said I wished us to be alone here tonight. I pulled aside the curtain. We are neither of us dependent on convention, nor on the trappings by which it is usual to maintain our authority. See for yourself. The Greek girl who acts as my scribe is not here. Your word is good enough, he said courteously. I have sufficient honesty to recognize it in my equals. If even Thelonious had called me his equal, I should have taken it as a challenge, but from Nigellos I accepted a compliment. You're much younger than I expected, he said slowly. I thought that no woman could command the respect of Thelonious except she were old and ugly. I thought that no Roman could be a senator unless he were old and fat. He laughed. Today has at least returned to us the capacity for surprise. So you also have made of intellect a shield against disillusion? He looked at me, his eyes very blue, dark as the sea at the beaches of Elysium. I think we should drink a toast to a courage which can dare illusion, I said, and hoped my voice was steady, as though I made only a trivial jest. He laughed again, as a young man laughs whose head is not weary with bays. Is there wine here? We cannot drink in Lethe, for I threw it away. We do not need Lethe, and I regret that the wine is only a Valerian of the second growth. Help me to fetch it. The wine was slightly acid, for the amphora had been opened several days, and Iris had forgotten to replace it. There was a cold roast fowl and a bowl of salad, for I sometimes ate with Iris before going home. We sat on the couch eating chicken in our fingers. I told him about Elysium, as any ordinary woman would talk of her childhood, to a man who found it exciting to hear of her life before their meeting. This is the first time for years, more years than I like to count, that I have been a real person, he said. Always I am the senator, or the husband, or the father, or the intellectual who has to make himself believe there is nothing else. So he was married. Of course he was married. He was a Roman and a senator. Why should I resent his wife when I had such ample proof that Roman matrons require only pity or contempt? How old are your children? I asked. I expected to hear they were small, perhaps still infants. My daughter is 17, my son 2 years older. Most Romans married young. He might have older children. He must have lived with his wife nearly 20 years. Who was she? Was it about your children that you come to me? I asked. I am deeply concerned for my son. I tried to conceal how easy it was to share concern for his son. What is wrong with him? He takes no interest in women. I think this may be caused by the effect on his sister by their mother. He shows a disquieting affection for a foreigner. So Nigellus knew that his wife was not a wise mother to her daughter. I was not surprised, but disproportionately pleased. Your wife is jealous of her daughter? If so, she shares this disease with many other matrons. Women will always be jealous of their daughters until they learn to welcome maturity, instead of seeing it as an increasing weakening of their powers. Roman women are seldom aware of the powers of the spirit. They are concerned only with power, which is bound up in physical dominance. There are few Roman faces which show the serenity of age. He looked at me as though I were a statue he had carved. You will be beautiful when you are old, Lucina. You Greeks hold in your bones the secret of antiquity. I will never be old, I said impulsively, and then added, age is only a habit of mind. It has nothing to do with the years since our bodies were born. Of course I shall live to be an old woman. I am much too interested in living to die young. I'm not so great a coward that I want to escape from life. I no longer want to escape, he said, and his voice was solemn, as though he took an oath. I no longer want to escape from a living reality. That was the ending of chapter 7. The next chapter is Attic Vase, number 8. Happy Sunday!